Yo, Tommy, how's your stakeout shake from Cookout? Stakeout kick.
Hello, we have a story on canned cannabis and also tax rates. Okay, so first story is about this new wave of a lot of canned drinkable weed that is showing up pretty much in all dispensaries across the country. And whether or not this is something that is getting people's attention or if it's going to crash and burn. And the question comes down to basically the demand, which at this point really is up in the air because for two reasons. One reason is specifically the cost, because it's federally illegal to ship cannabis across the country. There can't be a centralized hub of production for these canned drinks. And so alcohol companies like Bud Light, like Lagunitas, like Pabst Blue Ribbon, they are all so used to having one centralized place where they make everything and then they ship it across the country. They have to now create different hubs in each state that is legal, and that is so costly compared to what they're used to. That is a reason why you're not seeing as many. You're seeing, I guess, a few try and jump in there because they see it being a much bigger thing within the coming years. But again, the other question is, who is this targeted towards? Is it targeted towards the heavy smokers, or is it targeted towards the people who are just kind of looking to get a little bit of a buzz and not a hangover the next day? And it seems like what they're doing now is they're shifting towards those second people, the people who are now looking, they don't necessarily have a high tolerance, and they just maybe want to have a drink and have that buzz when they're kind of hanging out socially. It's a hard hill to climb because it's associated with edibles, and edibles, these low tolerance people, the people who aren't used to heavy marijuana use, are very averse to edibles because of all the horror stories that we've all heard about edibles and how they can just knock you out and you didn't realize how much you took, and then you're just kind of stuck in a comatose state for all night, and you ruin the night for everybody, which I have done. But they're basically trying to separate themselves from those edibles by having pretty low THC leveled drinks. 10 milligrams is pretty much the highest, and then they have 5 milligrams along with some CBD that would kind of balance it out. For my own case study, I tried a 10 milligram Pabst Blue Ribbon seltzer, and man, it was a lot for me. It was too much, actually. I didn't want to do it. And I have one still in my fridge because I don't want to go back. But anyway, they're trying to capture this audience, and it's going to take a while, I think, to actually get their attention because they have to see more and more people kind of enjoy it out in the public, where I haven't seen much of it, but hopefully it'll grow eventually over the next coming years, and we'll see people start to kind of disassociate it from the edible horror stories that we've seen in the past.
If you keep running like that, you're going to slip and fall and break your penis off. I did my duty as a grandmother.
Second story is about Schumer's weed legalization bill, where most of it kind of really hits a nice chord, and it feels in harmony with what everyone wants, and it has a very sweeping view of marijuana. The one thing that has got people pretty nervous is the tax rate. The tax rate will start off when it's enacted at 10%. Then every year it progressively goes up until at 5 years later it reaches the level of 25% tax rate, which, isn't that bad. But then when you think about it adding up along with other state and local taxes, that could go up into 50%, because you have places in California who are already excising a 35% tax. That would be just astronomical and way too expensive for taxes if it gets to 25%. The fear is always with taxes that it's going to create a very competitive black market or illicit market that will have zero tax and will be a lot cheaper, and people will just go to that because it makes so much more sense. And that groundwork, the groundwork for laying out that black market is there and has been, because it's been working for decades now, and so it's pretty well thought out, and it's just ready to go. And once it has an excuse to form again, to grow again, then it's going to come back, and this is a perfect excuse. The only silver lining is that for small businesses, they're able to get a tax credit. They're able to get 50% off of this tax rate, but that still leaves you at 12.5%, and that's adding on to the state and local tax. So because of this huge amount, it's very concerning. And the hope is that they will take, right now the bill's in a discussion phase where there's public discussion and you can kind of talk about it, and they're taking opinions from the American people. And in September is probably when they'll introduce the actual bill to the Senate. It's not expected to change much, the bill, but this is one instance that it actually needs to change. And if it doesn't change, the possibility of having two markets, one a federally legal one and one a completely illicit yet much cheaper market, will be the reality. We'll have both coming up at the same time. Then we look at the other bill that has kind of been forgotten about, the MORE Act, the one that has been introduced in the House by Gerald Nadler. His tax rate is much more conservative. It starts at 5% and then eventually goes up to 8%. So that seems much more doable, actually doable, as opposed, if there has to be a tax rate, that's the one you go to. So hopefully the Senate bill will look at that and see that that's, my light just went out, but see that that's the way we need to go. Anyway, since my light's out, I'm gonna cut it there. So we will be back tomorrow with some more stories. See you then.
Not that high.
Dude, it's so high.
It's not that high, bro.
It's so high.
It's not that high, JB. It's not that high. Just, oh my, oh my gosh.